what going on? Welcome to another live streamed episode of the Same Difference podcast. It's your boy Jack. I got a special guest here, a fellow podcaster, a fellow funny man, fellow former service member. We're going to talk about what's going on in the current state of affairs in the military. We want to shout out every military member. And of course, we want to honor all those that have given the ultimate sacrifice. We appreciate you and your families. Big up all the Gold Star families. Everyone with any type of military background. I don't know. Are we bigging up the ones that didn't get a honorable discharge too?
Yeah, we gotta big them up for the effort.
We appreciate you trying. If you did not make it past boot camp, then still this conversation.
Yeah.
Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are, man.
All right, man. Good evening, folks. I'm Dwayne Calwood, one of the co-hosts for the Unhinged VI podcast. A little bit about myself. I served in the Air Force from 1989 to 1992. So yes, I am a Gulf War, a Desert Storm / Desert Shield veteran. After completing my years in the service, I finished school. So I have a degree in electronic engineering technology as well as a master's degree in accounting. Came back to the Virgin Islands, did a 20-year career in law enforcement, retired as a chief marshal from the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands. And, that's it. That's the what do they call it, Cliff Notes version?
Yeah, that's a pretty illustrious career, man. Congratulations on your illustrious career. You did your thing in the military, came out, got a real engineering degree, which, if you don't know, engineering, that's a big title. An engineer is a serious thing. So congratulations.
Yeah, and I only say all of that because I just want to basically say when I speak, I kind of know a little something about what I'm talking about. Not out of flexing, because if you know about engineers, it takes 4 engineers to change one light bulb anyway. So go on.
I will say I know a little about a lot of stuff. I'm never claiming to be no expert or nothing. I did my 4 years in the Navy and got out from 2001 to 2005. And I'm going to be honest, when I joined for the college money. I ain't going to even lie to you. My family could not afford to send me to school, even though I wanted to. The grades were good. I would have probably had a blast. But, I decided I needed to get off the island. That's the thing. You came back. I left St. Croix on the first thing smoking. As soon as summer was done, I was out of there because I was getting into trouble. Mm-hmm. And you know what I'm saying? I felt like the Navy
need a change environment.
Exactly. The Navy was my way to see the world, to travel, and all of that stuff. They got me. I was God. And it was crazy because I joined at 17. So my mother actually had to sign the paperwork for me. At 17, I got in August. I didn't even make 18 until October. Like I said, I joined August of 01. In September, something happened. September 11th, they sat us down. 2001, we were looking at the screen and couldn't even verify. We couldn't really wrap our heads up around what the news was telling us at that time. September 11th, the towers fell and I was in boot camp, knowing that I joined. When I joined, there wasn't a war going on that they were going to send me to. In the middle of my boot camp term, all of a sudden we're going to war, and I'll never forget that. So you are deployed also, didn't you?
Yeah, that's correct. So coming out of high school, same I had options in terms of financing for college. My dad was like, wherever he decided to go to school, it's covered, but I didn't want to be going to school at anybody else's dime. I felt that if I were paying my own way, I'll take it more serious, and the chances of me goofing off gonna be like next to nothing. You know what I'm saying? So in talking to elder guy who I had a lot of respect for, he was like, "Yeah, man, I went to the Air Force. When war break out, Air Force will never go to war." You know what I mean? So I joined the Air Force and went to boot camp, went to training, learned my job, got assigned to my first assignment, unit assignment, and like 2 months later, Panama. Here we go. You know what I mean? That's why we went and kidnapped Noriega.
Oh man.
Uh,
Oh man. Okay.
so all the thing that the kidnapping they do from Venezuela the other day, that's precedent. So anyway, we kidnapped Noriega, and then 1990, end of 89, 1990, no, 1991, I believe. That's when Iraq invaded Kuwait. So I was deployed to the Gulf. My job in the Air Force, I was in a 22nd Combat Communication Squadron. So yeah, we used to deploy a lot. We were considered like a field unit. So there were other people in the Air Force that had that exact same job that I had and never sleep one night in a tent. Simply because they had to look at the drawing in terms of what kind of units they were assigned to. You know what I'm saying?
So there are people in the Air Force that sleep in tents because Air Force don't really do nothing. You know what I'm saying?
So when people go to like a Navy base and then they come to like an Air Force base, and they see the difference, they see how the Air Force people will be living. See, we get knocked.
Yeah.
We get knocked.
It's better. Like let's keep it real. Air Force lives better than other branches.
Correct.
Even the recruiters will say, like you could be living like this or you could be living like that, which is
correct.
They get treated better. I went to a Air Force mess. I don't know if that's what you call it. I went to an Air Force defect mess or whatever you call it, and the food was amazing. The food was good. It was on real plates. I was like, damn, y'all got real tablecloths in here. Shit. It was impressive.
So I mean, sometimes we had Marines on our base, and sometimes you hear them do it, they may treat all the man running and calling cadence, and you want OP winner, like, hey, shut the hell up, people in there trying to sleep. You know what I'm saying?
So they up for PT, y'all still in the bed.
Damn. But I tell people after 4 years they get the same benefit. So I mean,
true. Now, why did you join the military? What made you decide to sign up?
So I curious about electronics. I wasn't certain, what I wanted to do, and I really didn't want to go to college, spend 4 years, studying a particular major, and then get to the end, and at the end, like, realize like this ain't really the thing for me. So I felt that if I went into the military, that was an opportunity to dabble in what I thought, I would make a career out of, and so that way I get a chance to have the hands-on experience and then make a decision as to whether or not this is what I want to study when I go to college. So I definitely knew that I was going to college. I wasn't 100% sure as to what I was going to study. So going in the military was a way to afford me else, hands-on experience so that I could decide, if this is what I really want to study. And I know that with the educational benefits that the military would provide, that was a way for me to fund my own college education without having to lean on my parent or, anybody else.
True. Now, my Navy recruiter told me, they gave me a couple options after I took the ASVAB test. They gave me a couple options. They said it's cool because this way you get to, like you said, you get the OJT and stuff. And if anything, you could just switch jobs. Did they sell that to you too?
Yes, they did. They did.
I mean, you can. They didn't lie. It's just a little harder than what they said. But yes, that was a good thing. That's another thing that sold me. And the ideas of pulling into ports and like just seeing all these places I probably couldn't get to see on my own. That's exactly why I joined. And I did get that. I can't front on that. The being in the Navy, I've seen some things at a very young age that I probably wouldn't have on my. Well, I know I wouldn't have on my own. Now, after you, what is it even like deploying as a airman? How does that work?
Okay. So, so my experience. I'll talk about going to the Gulf. Okay. So I'm trying to be nice. So The unit that I was in, the combat communication unit, right? We deploy all the time. You go out in the field, you go through these exercises, and then hey, it is now we're going to war, and all of a sudden now everybody running around like, oh my god, like chicken without head. And I'm like, well, this is what we've been practicing for. So anyway, we end up deploying not with the people that you train with. So I used to maintain like satellite terminals and stuff like that. So there'll be maybe 5 of us, crew chief and 4 airmen, different rank. So because you go in the field all the time, like when we hit the field, I know everybody Dwayne gonna do this, Jack gonna do that, John gonna do this other thing, Robert gonna do this other thing. So it was really fast to get equipment set up because it required minimum communication. So when you deploy now, you deploy with people who you're just meeting for the first time. So it kind of slow down the process just a little bit longer because you were not really familiar with the people that you were working with. So where we were deployed, I have to tell the story. I have to tell the story.
All right,
so bear with me.
Hold up. I got a graphic for this, I think. Let's see if
Yes. So, okay. So we're supposed to deploy. So they gave us this, I think they call it a gumoglobin shot or something like that. But anyway, this thing, like, it cold and it tick like molasses, right? So you get like in your butt cheek. I swear this thing take like 2 minutes for them to squeeze all of the stuff out of the syringe into you. So for the next 3 days, you're walking around with like, you have to sit at one side because it feels like you have keys in your back pocket, right? Anyway, so they give you this shot. This shot was supposed to be like kind of like counter any kind of like biological or chemical weapons that you might be exposed to when you get over there. So the planes didn't come. So they delay our departure for 10 days. And on the 9th day, we get a shot again. Even the shot was supposed to be good for 6 months. So anyway, fast forward, we get on the planes. We fly over to the Middle East. We get off of the plane. I ain't never seen nothing like this here. The terminal, the ground was marble, and the terminal itself was just like glass and gold, And then looking around like, what? And it's like, first thing into my mind, if these people have this kind of money, why we overhead? Like they had need to hire their own military to defend them, Why we?
Yeah.
They never seen nothing like this. If this is the kind of money these people dealing with. So anyway, we jump on this buses, and they take us to this place. So some guys from my unit had already deployed ahead of me. So they take us to this place and like, hey, let's go grab some dinner. Cause we've been on the plane like, it was long. So we gone in, man serving steak, lobster, shrimp. And this place is like condominiums, actually like a whole village with just like upscale condominiums. So we wanted to do some more units, and man take us over by the condo with the stay, and man get big, some giant TV and thing, So I like, wow, like this deployment thing, this what thing gonna be, this is why it's like
it's a breeze.
yeah, I alright with this one. So now we eat up and thing. I think like this is how we gonna be. And then man like, okay, time to get back on the bus. I like back on the bus. And
you went to the destination.
Yeah, we thought about the destination. And then man drive us like back to the airplane to the airport now. So we went over on a C5, one big massive transport plane. So now they take off our equipment and load it onto a C-130, much smaller, them Hercules plane. And we flew like for maybe another 2 hours. And then we land, they come like in the middle of no place. And then they drove us to a tent city. This is home.
Yeah.
So I just thought like messed up, like, I were bringing us to stay in tents. Why take us to that first place to get something to eat?
I mean,
like, give us some
they gave you your last little, taste of luxury before. So I don't know, I give you something to aspire to. I want to enjoy it.
That was cruel and unusual punishment. Like, give me an MRE and let's keep it moving though.
That's MRE.
So anyway, yeah. So that first stop was in UAE, Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
So they actually, that's the first time I actually learned that there were bases in the Middle East that were American bases. So like the trucks and stuff that we used to transport our satellite home, we didn't go with none of that. And I was trying to figure out like, but they had trucks. Yeah, they already had equipment there, and apparently they have people like stationed there, maintaining this equipment and stuff like that. But they didn't have like dorms, so they just had these like hardened hangars and stuff like that. But they actually put on some tents, and that's who we live in. So anyway, the area that we were in, the sheik, because over in that part of the world, they have like each area have like a sheik that kind of run that particular area. So the local people, the population, they were not. The Arabs weren't really too liking the idea of Arabs teaming up with Arabs to go against another Arab, right? Or Arabs teaming up with a white man to go against an Arab.
Okay.
So we were in this area and they didn't want us there, but the sheik, he permitted it. So, true story. They took our dog tags, they took our military IDs, they took all our uniforms. They gave us some like overalls, overalls like paint us away, and each one of us, they took a picture and they gave us an ID that was totally in Arabic. I had no idea what it is. I had no idea what the ID had say. Could I say if you find this Negro, kill him, he wore 10 points, he wore double points and choose this. I had no idea what this thing's saying. So from this camp or this base, we would have to drive 2.5 hours using some back road out in the middle of no place where we had set up our actual equipment. So initially it was like you work for 12 hours, you off for 12 hours, you work for 12 hours, because they didn't. Remember, I told you it would usually be like one crew chief and four crew members. They split us up, and the sergeant that was in charge, he just allowed them to kind of like take half our people. So it was basically you had like half your normal team. So eventually, I was like, man, this thing. If you driving 2.5 hours from the camp out to the equipment and back, and we in a military vehicle. We were in a Toyota minibus that was donated by Japan. Yeah.
And there was nothing. Did they tell you were doing? Did they tell you anything?
No, we maintaining communications equipment. Out in the middle of, it had some tankers close by, so we were close. It had a runway close by. I just didn't know what the airport or the name of the field was.
Oh boy, am I frozen or are you?
You were frozen on my end for a while, but I looking good. So anyway, so we basically switched and we went to a working 24-hour shift. So we worked 24 hours on, and then after 24 hours.
12.
Initially, we were 12, but they make sense because I'm like, this all makes sense if we're driving 2.5 hours each way, because when you get off, you're spending 5 hours just commuting.
24.
You're coming back in 12 hours, so it's 2.5 hours to get back to camp. You shower, you sleep, you eat, and the next thing you have to leave early enough to drive that 2.5 hours back. So I was like, if we do this, we're gonna never get there off. So it was 24 on, 24 off. Another thing, they gave you like a ration card because they weren't really about alcohol and stuff like that. So you had a ration card and you're allowed 2 alcoholic drinks per day. So one thing about the Air Force, these dudes, they had a unit, they call them Red Horse. I think Red Horse. These dudes will construct, just clear a field like today. And in 7 days time, you have a complete base. I talk in movie theater, cafeteria, auditorium, tents for sleeping and stuff like that. So our tents, eventually they built floors. So it wasn't that like there was sand. You're walking on the floor like any tent. So you had like a ration card, you get 2 bears per day. So when you come into work, when you relieve the person, you will give them your ration card so they could go back and they could get 4 bears instead of the 2. So that was a long answer to the question why we're like 2 bears a day while you're deployed, but you end up getting 4 because, like I say, when whoever come to relieve you, they give you their ration card. So you have 2 cards. You got a man punch your thing, you get 4 bears a day. And
hold up. You see, we were not allowed to drink unless we hit a port. And then, like, that's crazy. You had a ration card for alcohol while you were deployed?
A ration card, 2 bears a day. 2 bears a day.
Crazy. That's crazy.
So, and we had, so the base camp we were at, the base, there was actually some Italians there. There were some French, Italy, France, Spain, and I think British. You know, because remember that was like a multi-nation coalition. So a lot of people didn't know this, but so all the blacks would stay like in one area. All Italians would be like
self-segregated.
Hispanics were like in the next corner, the Caucasians were in the next corner. At times it was so bad, it was like almost hard to believe that we all were on the same side. Cause when you get out from work, you just out, you know what I mean? You ain't effing with nobody outside of your race. You know,
It's crazy, but I believe it. No.
And morale, let me just add this. So morale, I think the statute of limitation, they can't come for me. So morale was very high. So the Baileys, the Baileys, this so first time I got into the shower tent, right? Because they had floors and stuff like that 10. So on the wall they had Lisa Baker something girls, and then they had a price list. Straight BJ. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, hold up. Wait, whoa. Hold up. Wait. This was on the base you were at?
In the shower tent. It had a price list, right? And all the tents were numbered. So I had Lisa Baker, girls, tent number, whatever. And they had a price list. So when I see first time I got on, right? I read the list now. I cracking up now, right? I dying, I laughing because I'm thinking it's just like graffiti. Till a next partner for my unit that were there before, he like, nah, like this thing for real. So yeah, so this chick, a sergeant, she was staff sergeant, had this tent and she had her girls here and they were, you know, they were keeping morale high.
You see a staff sergeant?
Yeah. So at one point now they had an investigation because prior to this actual start of the war, you could like go downtown Saudi Arabia. You could go downtown Abu Dhabi and, you know, like shop and stuff. The war didn't start yet. So you could actually write like a personal check. And they had like you go to like a finance people had like a 10. You go write a personal check, you go there and cash the check. And you'll have cash to go downtown and shop and stuff like that. So like after the war start now, when the man do added, they realized now that this Lisa Baker chick had never written a check. But I think for some reason they ended up searching her tent and they found a whole bunch of cash. And none of them girl had written one single check while they were in there. So, of course, now, it were in the secret organ on. And they are threatened to like arrest her, bring up on charges. And she was like, y'all ain't arrested me. She had a black book. And she had a log of every single person who had come and was a client.
And use the services, yeah.
And the man said the wing commander, he went in the book, so for the time, she opened her book, and the man said his name, they just had to back off. But anyway, end of the war, it was rumored that she left there with like over 50 grand cash. That was just for a cut. You know what I mean?
So
but anyway,
she came over there with y'all, like...
No, she was there ahead of time. She was from some other unit.
But how do you come from the States and like set up a whole... How are you a madam in a whole other country on a base? That's crazy.
Well, but think about it, Ja. Like, that's the ultimate... You have like a captive audience, a captive market. Like, these bunch of men over there that, where they going to go?
Well, I know. Because obviously in Navy, I don't know what it's like for ground troops because I was on a ship for my 2 deployments, right? So I know what it's like when we pull into port. Mm-hmm. I know that there were some places that got very busy and they were very happy to see us. But like, I just can't, like, I couldn't imagine it being on the, well, let me not even say that because I'm sure they probably was selling, selling it at the ship too.
All right.
Real talk, because there were some rumors about some stuff going on, you know what I'm saying? But like, damn, I just can't imagine it being in the middle of everything. And I had it, because you said there was a price list up so everybody could see it.
Yeah.
You ain't worried about who gonna see it, who gonna pass by this thing.
So that's what I'm saying. So that's why when I saw, that's why I thought it was a joke when I see it first, because it was like just right there. Just, you know what I mean? It wasn't like what I'm out like, hey, like check You know what I mean?
Wow.
But I ain't gonna lie, you know. So one time in the cafeteria and partner of mine, I was here the day before, he was like, hey, that's Lisa Baker. Day. I ain't gonna lie, Ja. Think I look good and such.
Not no secret name or nothing. So you could
Yo,
have put Lisa and all. Like
yeah, her go for government name. She look good, she look good, she look good.
so even Lisa could have get booked.
Yeah, she could have,
Wow.
she could have. But
Yeah.
yeah, but so on the serious side though, like, and this is why I'm get serious for a minute. So like even what going on now, like I'm kind of bothered now because outside of veterans and outside of people who like have close family members like in the service, right? The people close to them in the service, like when I came back from the Gulf, like you over there, you live in this thing here, you in this every day. And I sure it was like that when you were deployed, and you to assume like everybody back in the States, back in the United States, kind of like locked in as to what's going on. You know what I mean? And you come back and realize a lot of people just like, yeah, oh, like, yeah, I know you at one, yeah, we were blowing up some shit here, and they, but you know, like there is this, I don't want to say lack of appreciation, but there's this just like a lot of people can't separate why is it what they see on TV, you know?
Well, I think there's as far as for what war is, and you know the way America presents war, I think it's presented in a like we're Rambo, we're the strong guys, we going in there and we rescuing people and like every time you see America in a war or on TV, we're doing heroic shit. You know what I'm saying? So I can't fault people who've never deployed to understand that it's really just I go to work for 12 hours and then I go to sleep maybe in 8 or we play cards or you know what I'm saying? Like I don't think they could envision what most of it is. Like all of us are not on the ground shooting guns and stuff like that there, but we've portrayed that image and we've tried to make war cool, especially now that they got the memes and stuff that this administration is putting out. Like the man, we're in the middle of a war right now, right? And Iran is posting Lego videos.
And it's having an effect. And it really like bothering the people that at the top of this leading our thing. And that's like my biggest, I just really have a serious problem with this current administration. Because I think in any conflict, you're gonna have conscientious objectors, right? You're gonna have people who don't believe in the cause. When we're over in the Gulf, when Bush will get up there and talk about, oh, there's a new world order and there's no room in this new world order for like Iraq invading Kuwait. And we, the blacks, over and we watching this and we like, so what the hell about South Africa? How it have room for apartheid in this new world order? You know, and we were like, well, okay, so when we done here, we don't need to go back to the States. We need to go to South Africa and kick some apartheid ass. This was our, you know, like sentiment. I talk about the black, you know, soldiers. So I say that to say, despite us maybe not agreeing with the cause, we never, ever had a reason to question or not have confidence in the competence of our leadership. And that's what I see now. Like this, and I can't imagine, like I take myself back, like how that would have been now if I were there, not only questioning the cause, but questioning the competence of the people that were leading us. Like that was never an issue. Like we gonna show up, we professional, we will show up and we will kick ass because this is what we don't do.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
But okay, so yeah, we are jokey. We're jokey like as a country, as a warfighter machine, but I don't think that the people themselves, the actual soldiers are. Like you said, I think there's a competency issue with leadership, and it's like they're playing at being big bad and they don't know how to actually do it because we're from a different time, a time where our leaders were serious, like all the time they were serious, and none of this stuff that you would see would have happened. Now, let me ask you this though: did you trust your leaders? Because it's not just competency, you know. There's there's a lack of trust, I think. But did you trust yours?
Yes. trust them. Couldn't we talking military from military aspect?
military
Okay, yes.
strategy
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely,
like,
absolutely.
and if they tell
Absolutely.
you, hey, this is what we need to do because of this, would you trust that?
Correct. Yes, I did. Absolutely, 100%.
So now it's crazy that we have leadership, uh, we have the lack of competency, that, you know, the administration is full of nepotism and people who just bow down to Trump or whatever, but we also can't trust them because they'll just lie. And the lies are so
Blatant.
transparent and like just out of nowhere. And will volunteer a lie.
And that's I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the things, and people need to understand, in war, both sides gonna be spreading propaganda. You know what I'm saying? We sat. I really hope the statute of limitations run. So anyway, one I had a top secret clearance. So we had needed for the unit that we're in. So we had a guy who his job was, when the orders come through for the pilots, he would get the orders, he seal them up, and he had to carry them over to like the wing commander, right? So we were working 24-hour shifts. And I think this dude had dropsies or something, because 2 hours into the shift, he was gone, out like a light. So whenever orders came through, you had to wake him up. You know what I mean? So got to seal him up and go do his thing. So of course, we go read them before we wake him up. You know? So when we see them get on TV and say, why the United States drop a bomb on a hospital? And it was collateral damage. I wasn't really the target. We were trying to hit this building next to it, and and we would just kind of sit back and laugh. Not laugh, but kind of smile, because it was targeted. If they get intel and say, because if you at war and I know that you're gonna blow up a hospital, okay, as my soldiers, we gonna use a hospital that's kind of like a shield. You know what I'm saying? So there are instances where, based on intel that you have, that's inhumane as it sounds, because what is nasty? It's a nasty business. You will go and target facilities that are considered civilian facilities, but you have intel that your opponent using this thing as kind of like a shield. And like you said, now we go back to this trust issue now, where if it happened under this administration, you're even trying to, because they're lie about everything. Yeah. They just lie for the sake of lying. So I'll give you an example. So even, I don't know if how much attention you pay to that. There's a shield, there's a storm. So we actually surrounded Baghdad, right? And we didn't completely seal it off, because President Bush understood and our leaders understood, if you take out Saddam Hussein, right, you create a power vacuum, you create a mess, and you own it. So it was like, okay, we're going to just destroy his tanks, all his military equipment and stuff like that, so that at least for the next 20 years, he no threat to nobody. That was a, you know what I mean? Yeah. So you went and you kind of, like I say, surrounding, but you didn't cut him off, you leave him in place because you didn't want to create a mess that you would own. George Bush now, the son, the Duns, come along and, you know what I mean, do exactly what we father didn't do, which was we removed Saddam Hussein, and then we were there for 20 years, probably spent $1 trillion. God knows how many people die and why you had to do in the end. Just walk away,
And that's what happened. They just walked away. And I think George Bush was kind of the beginning of like where the president didn't need to actually be smart or competent. Correct. When, and it only got worse. Like, I blame the Tea Party, because when John McCain got with old girl from Alaska, that was like, I thought that was a bridge too far, but now look at where we are. We're to the point where just, what it was today, I think, the White House press secretary, she's praising Trump because look how gas prices have decreased in the past year. Now, anybody with eyes that work knows that's a lie. But she got in front of the White House press corps and said that today, when gas prices have raised over $1.20.
That's these people MO. Like, don't believe your lying eyes. This is what I'll be telling you. Don't believe your lying eyes. We know what you see, but what you see ain't really, what it is. I can't start to imagine being back in that situation with this set of characters, being in charge.
Right.
Like I said, we had confidence in our leadership. Like I say, you may not have agreed with the cause, you know what I mean, but when it came to the military aspect of it, you know what I mean, yeah, they were on point.
Now, speaking of some orders, you were talking about how there were orders to do something untowards, but it was towards a hospital, and you said that war is a messy business. Do you think that's what happened with that in Iran, where that girls' school got hit? Do you think
No.
that's like you don't think we targeted them?
No. No, I think we targeted it. I don't think that was a mistake, because there was actually a double tap. There was a double tap. That's the part a lot of corporate media, I stopped listening to them. That's the part that's not being reported. They hit the school once, they hit it twice.
Yes.
And apparently they were using some kind of AI or some nonsense to identify targets. And remember now, one of the things that that Junker did, Pete Kegbert,
Yeah.
one of the things that he did, one of the first things that he did was he got rid of that process where there's like a double and triple verification, of targets. And you heard them talking about, President Trump, when he sent our troops to war, there's no rules of engagement. Like, when I went in the Air Force, right? Initially, I was like, yeah, man, it's cool. I look at the benefits if I would have gotten had I stayed 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know what make me say one term, was it? The same rules of engagement, because around the same time, we were doing a lot of UN peacekeeping missions. So even after the Gulf, I was like, I'm not saying that you're not going to put me someplace and tell me some man could stay up on a hill with some little handmade something, fire after me. And I sit down here, we get tanks that could literally chop this mountain in half, and we can't fire back because of rules of engagement. But I say all of that to say the rules of engagement were there for a reason. You know what I mean? So you eliminate all this basically checks and balances. You go into AI now for AI to tell you what to target and what not to target. Like that's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. We even in Kuwait, right? Even in a while, a lot of time we had people on the ground identifying targets to hit. You understand? Not just sitting back and saying, and that's why I say, like in a hospital thing, like we had intel, we had people on the ground. We had CIA people undercover, but we had people on the ground to say, hey, you know what I mean? This is what happening. But all those checks and balances is just eliminate, and they just operate. Kegbert, they just be acting like this is some kind of video game. Like, it's just annoying.
Now, I initially thought that Pete was like somebody that had never served. Come to find out, he was a reservist and an officer, and like he had deployed multiple times, and that surprised the hell out of me.
And get you out, get forced out.
But now he's over the entire Department of Defense, and it's like this man failed his way up.
Correct.
This why they wanted to get rid of DEI programs, so other white men could fail their way to the top, because that whole administration is that.
Correct. And I predicted this. If Trump gets a second term, that's going to be the end of this American experiment as we know it, because he said at the end of his first term, he said he realized that he don't need. Remember now, his first term, now he went new to the whole political arena, so he kept a lot of career people, Republicans. You know what I mean? And this thing with Iran, he wanted to go. He wanted to start a war with Iran from his first term, but he had generals and people in there that were like, nah, like we ain't doing this. This won't make sense, And I like this second time around, you don't have those people anymore.
Yep.
You have people who just
he don't care about getting reelected.
Correct. He can't run again, and it's just people who loyal to him. That's a lone criteria for being in these positions, And I have a son on active duty, and let me raise this point to you, because a fellow veteran said this the other day, and I think he answered something. So he said, all a guy at me. So he said the reason the Vietnam War ended when it ended was because it became so unpopular with the American, population, that the pressure was too much. You know what I mean? America had to withdraw from the war. So he said the only reason it got that popular or I mean, when I say popular, the only reason there was that level of pushback against the war was because he initiated the draft. So he's like, without the draft, now you have people, when you have like an all volunteer force,
Yeah.
you know, they get deployed and people just kind of like, okay, well, you know, that's what they sign up for. They're doing the job, this and that and the other. When you start drafting, people know, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, and now people start, oh, you know, my son and nephew and who ain't had no intent of being in the military. Now you hauling them out for the street to send them to fight to war. So now there's this, you know, there's more of a focus amongst a greater percentage of the population as to what, you know, like is actually taking place.
Because we all in the soup. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing when you could dissuade your child, your nephew, or whatever from going. It's a whole nother thing when y'all part of the Hunger Games and they're looking to pick you out of a bunch.
Correct.
I got a question for the chat, for whoever's in the chat right now. Do you think Trump's term is the end of America? Because my boy here posts, he said that this is the end of the American experiment.
Yeah, so when I said, I just mean, I don't think, okay, so when I look back.
Hold on 1 second. So if you think Trump's term is the end of America, type 1 or 2 in the chat. 1 for yes, 2 for no. You're going to count on this poll right here on the side. Do you think Trump's term is the end of America? Let us know. Type 1 or 2 in the chat. What you going to say?
So when I say end of America, not like America will cease to exist after Trump, but he has the damage from what this lunatic has done in his second term. It's gonna be decades and decades to recover from it, if ever. Because think about it. So you had the Cold War, and you basically had the Soviet Union and the United States. You know, the two superpowers. And then once the Soviet Union broke up, the only superpower left was the United States. So we've kind of had this sense of, amongst other people in other countries, we kind of had this sense of, I want to say invincibility, but you know, like people know you can't go toe to toe with us when it comes to military technology, equipment, and that kind of stuff. So because of that, we were able to flex and have a lot of influence all throughout the globe. Think about the United UAE, right? Saudi Arabia, you have Bahrain, you have all these countries that basically were dumping money into the United States basically to buy protection. You know, it's kind of, hey, you allow us to set up these bases in your country. You know, if you attack, we get your back. You know, and this conflict now, prior to this conflict, them man start pulling Patriot interceptors from these other countries in the Middle East and start putting them into Israel. So you have, think like the UAE that pumped that $2 billion, whatever it is, into Trump little family.
And the jet.
Cryptocurrency, whatever, you know. And now, hey, it is now being attacked and you ain't defending us. So I'm just saying that sense of invincibility that the United States had prior to this conflict, that gone.
Well, a lot of it's because he's damaging so much. Like, you can't be invincible and not have any allies. You know what I'm saying? And then he's aligning with dictators and all this. He's doing the opposite of what he should be doing on too many fronts for this to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, how you fuck up everything. I remember Cat Williams had made a joke in one of his early lives when Bush was in office, and he was like, how you fuck up everything? And but we thought Bush was bad. This Bush didn't like tell our allies fuck off. He wasn't arguing with Canada.
Yeah, this dude, he make Bush look like a genius.
What?
I ain't never thought that.
He's at it with the Pope right now.
Yeah, you are the Pope for simply saying like why is not the answer? Like basically, like instead of fighting, let's try to talk. You just come out like attack this man here. Like it's insane. And warfare is kind of like sports. You know, like how you have a team. Let's take. You have a team in sports that's dominant. What happened? Other teams start to build a team to defeat your team. Teams scouting your teams to see how other teams. So when they come across a team that giving your team a hard time, they start to study that. And now the playbook. No, that's the playbook as to how to deal with these men. So when this conflict start, I was like, the strategy what Iran employing is genius. And people like that's it. People have this thing now. If you say anything negative about the United States, about
You
you're
you don't love
anti-American,
America.
you're unpatriotic, why you don't move and no. So I suppose to live here and just not ever criticize nothing that's being done here. So you have other countries look at what Iran do. Like Iran, these little $50,000 drone that we could build them in mass
Yeah,
in people's garage and things. Are we just throwing them after I firing these $3 and $4 million missiles to intercept them? Which we know that you only have a limited supply and you can't produce them as fast as we could produce these drones. I was like, that's excellent strategy because I hold it back the real big weapons, them, and you're going to expend, most of your multi-million-dollar munitions shooting on these little $50,000 drones. So now that you're stuck low, now I could turn loose. You know what I mean?
and then our enemies are watching all of this.
Correct, and that's what I'm saying. So this is a playbook. So this is so that's what I mean when I say this.
Yeah.
That influence that we had because we had this kind of image of being like militarily invincible. That gone because the other countries sit back and this is the playbook. This is how that gone. Over what?
And Iran ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Like that country of 90-something million people, they're not going anywhere.
Correct.
And then we trying to out crazy these people, and it's like if they're willing to get rid of tens of thousands of protesters of their own people, what we could do to them?
Yeah, kill 40,000 people, and just keep it moving, that's another day. Yeah, let's keep it moving, it's another day. I mean, it's sad. This decades and decades we spend building all these relationships, and this man here just knocking all of them down. I think the dude, I think he anyway out, so he didn't really care. This is like scorch out,
He doesn't, and that's what makes him so dangerous. You know what I'm saying? That's what makes this Trump term the most dangerous, because it's not even about party anymore, because the Republicans floundering, MAGA leaving this man, and he doesn't care. But it's too late, because you got this narcissist that doesn't care about whether the U.S. suffers or not. He's using the DOJ to go after people that have wronged him. He's doing everything against people that have wronged him, even to the point where he will go toe to toe with the Pope.
Yeah.
And then you got these conservative Christians trying to figure out, who do I defend?
I've been waiting to hear from them evangelicals for Trump. Like, what is? Where are they?
They're the ones saying that he's the second coming and all. No, he's the Antichrist. So you got one wing of MAGA saying he's Jesus, the next wing saying he's
Lucifer.
Antichrist. So what? We gonna do?
Yeah.
And I think we had mentioned something about orders, the Iran thing, and whether we should follow orders. So I want to go into that also. Let me find this here. Hold on. All right. Service members and their leaders must not disobey a superior officer if the orders they are given are lawful. Service members and their leaders might refuse to follow orders that are unlawful. One exception to Article 90 says a service member is not required to obey an order that violates the law. Every service member takes an oath that includes obeying lawful orders. Service members and leaders take this oath seriously. According to UCMJ, that's the Uniform Code of Military Justice. According to the UCMJ, Law Article 92, an order is unlawful if it violates the Constitution. You see that highlighted? U.S. laws or military regulations, and it directs a service member to commit a crime or unethical act. An unlawful order is a directive issued by someone in a position of authority that violates a law, a person's rights, or ethical principles. Following such orders can have legal consequences for both the person giving the order and the one executing it. All right. Now, I've said this before. There's a blitzkrieg of bullshit that the administration washes over us, and we can't keep up with all of it, right?
Correct.
So I think some people, or a lot of people, it's so much to take in that we forget about what was done. So if we remember, they were down by the Caribbean, just targeting fishing boats and claiming that these are oil tankers and shit like that. They were just hitting them. And that double tap that you were talking about, Dwayne, there was the one where they were ordered to hit this boat, and there were 2 survivors. And according to the rules of engagement, those stupid rules of engagement that Hexeth hates,
You gotta rescue them.
Rescue them.
Yes.
And then he hit them with a double tap.
Correct.
An unlawful order that people should be going to jail for.
Correct.
And so some lawmakers made a video, if you remember.
Correct.
And then the administration targeted them. Here's a video about Senator Kelly, who they tried to take this man pension for it.
Hexeth says that the Pentagon will cut Senator Mark Kelly's retirement pay. Kelly and 6 Democratic lawmakers took part in a video reminding U.S. service members of their duty to refuse illegal orders. The Democrats were accused by both Hexeth and President Trump of, quote, seditious behavior. Kelly is a retired Navy captain who served during Operation Desert Storm. Hexeth wants to cut his pay and reduce his retirement rank. Kelly says that he plans to fight the action.
Donald Trump, he deferred the draft 5 times because he had bone spurs. 4 generations of service to this country earns me the right to speak. 5 deferments earns nothing.
The Pentagon is seeking to punish Senator Mark Kelly for speaking out against Trump. The Navy veteran was one of 6 Democratic lawmakers, who took part in this video reminding U.S. troops about their duty to defy illegal orders. Now, Pete Hexeth called Kelly's statement seditious, and he issued a letter of censure. He said that the department is going to cut Kelly's retirement pay. In response, Kelly called Hexeth the most unqualified defense secretary in history.
Trying to take this man pension that he earned. He's a senator currently. The man's wife, if I'm not mistaken, took a bullet in the head.
Yes. Yep.
He's like, they're trying to get rid of the people that they can't live up to be.
Correct. Correct.
What do you have to say about this? Like, they're labeled seditious for reciting things that's in the code of military justice.
Yeah, look, see you in court. Like see you in court. It's wild. It's wild, and the person who pulled the trigger on that double tap, nah, court martial me. You know.
And I think they tried to blame what was it, an admiral at that time.
Yeah, and I so glad they mentioned Venezuela, because I would been asking people like, so how many are you realize that since we went and kidnapped Maduro, all of a sudden now we ain't got no drug boat? the fentanyl stop coming from Venezuela into America all of a sudden, like, you know.
Yeah. But where is he? You know what I'm saying? Like, we took the man and his wife. Like, what his wife did?
And leave his vice president in charge. I mean, like, and charge a man for illegal possession of a machine gun in his own country. How you charge me with a crime, a violation of the United States law in another country? Like,
yeah, and there are people still cheering for this. That's what blows my mind at this point. You know, like, I could kinda give them a blow, right? Or a blight or whatever. If you were promised a thing and you were waiting for that, but at this point, I have no idea what you could be holding on to.
Yeah, and I think some people went so hard. You know what I mean? They went so hard for him that, like, they can't bring themselves to say, well, you know, I was wrong or a trick, I would dupe, whatever the case may be. So my thing is just, okay, just quietly come off of that train. In my opinion, the only people
just shut up for real.
Exactly.
Just shut up.
Just quietly exit stage left. To me, the only people that should still be riding that crazy MAGA train is them people that only got 3 teeth in the mouth and to be inbreeding with the first cousin and sisters, the siblings are together. If you ain't found in that category, you got no business on that crazy train.
Man, look, unless it's paying you, like people that's in the administration, but being in his administration, you're not safe. This isn't like the first term I noticed though, like where people would last less than a week. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are lasting pretty long, but is it worth it?
Well, I think people lasting longer this time because when you look at who's in the storm, this go wrong. Like the first go wrong, like I see, he had people that were career. He kept people that were, in careers and walked the way up the ladder and them kind of thing. The first term. But now it's like, no, like, are you loyal? To MAGA? I know.
That's it.
I won't call no name, but I have a friend that is in a senior. He works in the federal government in a senior position in his agency. He was up for promotion. This man said he went for an interview and to get this higher position. He said the only questions they were asking was related to his loyalty to Trump and to MAGA. There was no question about his qualification, all that kind of thing. Like, how loyal are you to MAGA? If you were asked to do X, Y, and Z, would you? If you were asked to do A, B, and C, would you? Nothing about the man qualifications or his experience. They were just testing his loyalty to MAGA. And he ended up not getting the position because
I'm sure
he was like some of the things that he was saying, he like doing. Even I couldn't even just fake it just for the sake of that position. Like I didn't have it in me. So yeah.
Targeting DEI and it's supposed to be merit based and okay. And also, I gotta say this before we close out. I am sick of people of color rooting for this administration because they hate you. They do not like people of color at all. All those, I will vote. They're going to put you on one.
That song of the year. That's my favorite song. I will vote for Donald Trump. That song.
They put you on a boat.
Correct. Look at Byron Donalds. Look at Tim Scott.
No jobs.
But again, they even went when he went on tour the Federal Reserve when he claimed that Powell was spending billions to remodel the place. You notice when he came out to talk to the media, everybody had a construction helmet except Byron Donalds. I like your dumb backside. The man even give a construction hat. They probably hoping something will fall and hit you in your head while you're through the building. But anyway.
But it's like they never learn though, man.
No.
Because like all you gotta do is look towards Herman Cain. Like, he's in a box. He didn't make it through the first Trump term. Like, where is Diamond and Silk? You know what I'm saying? Like, guys, come on. Just look at what's happened. They don't mess with y'all.
Yeah.
But
it will never fit in and never be accepted.
Exactly. And then I think Marco Rubio had got a little taste of, the "you're not one of us." When he was speaking Spanish, I can't remember where they were, but they were Spanish delegation. He went and instead of translating, he went and speak Spanish, and then Hegseth was like, "Yeah, I speak American."
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro, you're not one of them. And then you get Kash Patel. Patel talking about you gonna see old boy in Valhalla. You think they got Patels in Valhalla, bro?
That's why nobody can see eye to eye with him, literally.
And that's why he can't find them files. Right there.
Yeah.
Hey, all right, Dwayne. It's been great. Damn near hour that quick grass.
Yeah. I feel like I just getting started. But...
Can you go ahead and give them some final words, tell the people how to reach you, how to follow you, and stuff like that?
All right. Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you, Josh, so much for having me. I like what you guys doing here in the podcast space. I really like the podcast space because there's room for everybody, to do their thing. So, as I indicated, I have a podcast on my own. It's called Unhinged. So you can follow us on Facebook, Unhinged, or on YouTube. Our channel is Unhinged_VI. So with my podcast, we try to just have an hour, just come and relax, laugh, and a little break away from your day-to-day issues and struggles and things like that. In closing, really though, I just like to say keep our troops in prayer because war is ugly business, and once you go to war, it's a given that some people ain't gonna make it back home. You know what I'm saying? So I just want people to take it more serious than the kind of like video game kind of thing that is kind of portrayed in the media in this part of the world, and realize that every time ammunition is dropped, what about also by the other side? They're human beings on the other side. So it's nothing really to be, like celebrated and stuff like that.
Agreed. I agree. 110%. And I want to end by making it clear that this is not an indictment of the troops or our
Correct.
service members. We love our troops and our service members. They're doing their duty and their jobs. We just wish that leadership would also step up like they are. I do believe that we have the strongest and mightiest military in the world. It's just the ones at the head right now, they're just using them as toy soldiers, and these are real people with real families.
Yeah.
That's who they really report to, their families, and they
Correct.
need to be dealt with as such, as real people and not pawns on a chessboard.
And we didn't even get into PTSD and the effects of war. But it's another conversation for another
We
time.
might gotta do that another time, man.
Yeah.
Hey, we gonna have a part 2, but I appreciate you coming on.
All right, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
All right.
I'll keep watching Unhinged. Y'all tune in, seeing difference. Keep it locked. We'll be back Sunday. We got another episode. It's gonna be a busy week for me. I'll be recording with another podcaster, Sip and Chat. Y'all stay tuned, see what we're doing. I don't even know when that podcast episode could come up, but just keep it locked right here with us. Hey, thanks again, man. Love
All right,
what
man.
you're
Anytime.
doing. Have a good day. Peace.
All right.